Good day, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in this another amazing episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me is Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Good,
Hello.
good morning,
Good
as
morning.
it is
That's
right
what I was going to
now.
say. Good morning.
As it is right now, still have not figured out the new opening catchphrase, and listeners have been of zero help. Just want to point that out. Um, and I apparently have spent just as much time on it as our listeners, because I spent none. I didn't even think about it until the theme show was playing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have something new to say, and I don't. Um, so there's that update. We are no
Just call it a
closer.
work.
Yep, we are absolutely no closer to figuring that one out. Just another paranormal mystery out there. Uh, I also will start this episode with an apology. I'm not actually under the weather. I feel fine, but I'm fighting a cold all week, and there's still a lot of like mucus and phlegm, like
Oh, the fun stuff.
just sitting there. Um, I have taken some NyQuil 20 minutes before the show here. So I'm hoping nobody will notice if I start rambling. Uh, Nobody should actually find that odd at all. So,
You sound
um,
fine, so
yeah. Like I said, I feel pretty much fine. It's just I do still have the cough and kind of the nasally stuff going
congestion.
on. Yeah, yep, the congestion. So yeah, hopefully it won't. I'll try to mute the microphone if I feel like I'm about to cough. But yeah, so please excuse me. Um, Before we get into our main topic, which is mirrors, uh, you, Anthony, sent me something interesting, which is very, very current, um, which eh, we'll discuss it. Why don't you tell me? Because there's even some new stuff that I didn't know about uh, coming into the show to that you do. So why don't you give like an overview of what I'm talking about?
So Anna Paula Luna went on to Joe Rogan, which is, I mean, that's kind of an exhaustive show right there. So they got into all sorts of topics, and of course he's interested in the UFO topic as well. So he brought it up, and she basically said that she had been in a skiff, which is a secure compartment information facility,
Mhm.
basically something that nothing gets out of. That
It's a
she had been
it's a big
shown,
Faraday cage
yeah,
to keep signals coming in and out,
keep the secrets.
keep the secrets.
But yeah, but they said that she had seen images, I guess, that other people have not been had access to yet. That to her prove that there is stuff that is not man-made out there or human-made. And basically she said that it I guess some of the upcoming hearings and stuff that they were trying to bring out that these things were true, real. I mean, no other way around that.
And that they so uh let's get more specific. Anna Paulina Luna is a U.S. House of Representative, like she's a member of
Yes,
Congress.
for Florida,
Um,
yeah. And House
for
of she's in charge of the secrets. I forget what they called it, the Secrets Commission or whatever, with the MLK and RFK files to release those to the public. And
oh,
UAP is
Jesus,
tossed in there as well.
Jesus. So I have. Hold on. Oh, it's already starting. Okay, sorry about that. Here's my issue with this: is in this administration and this Republican Party, and that I'm not grouping every single person that considers themselves a Republican into this group. But Republicans in Congress, especially, love to throw out distractions. They
Yeah,
they,
I mean,
they
yeah,
love they love it. I mean, it's like their entire job now. I mean, it's not to govern; it's to point the narrative wherever they want Americans and sometimes probably the world to go off in whatever direction, take whatever detour they want you to take. And if this were like you can't say, "Hey, I'm committee member of the secrets organization and I had to go into a skiff in order to see these stuff, but now I'm going to go on one of the most listened to podcasts in the entire effing world and I'm going to tell you all about it." Like
yeah, pretty
that,
much.
you shouldn't be on the committee if that's what's going to happen, unless the whole thing is complete bupkis for whatever political reason it is. Um, I think there's a reason she's the only one that is doing so. Um, because it's not like Joe Rogan can only get her on the show. Like I'm
Oh
sure
no,
there's a lot of politicians that would do it. Um, but that's not the end of it because now that she's come out with this and said this out in the public eye, she has attracted the ire of somebody in that uh, paranormal field.
yeah, she didn't name any names, so I will give her that. She didn't put specific names to it, but she basically said that he asked her about what happened with the last because they were supposed to have more testimony, and that kind of got canceled at the last minute because people were sick. They called it the skiff flu, and she basically started telling him when he asked that, if people don't have the skiff flu this time, that I think next month is when it's supposed to happen. They're supposed to have another hearing with firsthand witnesses and people who've actually had been in contact with materials that are supposed to be non-human.
who,
Um,
who who was asking her these questions? You forgot to say
Joe
who that
Rogan,
person was.
sorry. Joe
Oh,
Rogan
I
was
thought you were
asking
talking
her.
about. Oh, I thought you were talking about Louis, whatever his name is,
Elizondo? No,
Elizondo. Yes.
he came in after the fact because he was on the list to be in the skiff last time, and basically, I guess there was a back and forth, and he said that he didn't appreciate the her saying stuff like that because he had told them that they had plans and they expect him to drop at a moment's notice to be there, and he's not on salary to them, and basically, he has to worry about the real world stuff and can't at the drop of a hat just show up.
So his anger is not at what she said; it was the fact that he wasn't a part of it.
No, he was supposed to be part of it, but he had other plans, so he couldn't make it to this thing. So he was one of the people that she was, I guess, inferring got the skiff flu.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't even going against what she was saying. It was the accusation that he didn't show up because he was like what, scared of the information.
Yeah, that's kind of what she was alluding to when she was talking about it, was that there were some people that were afraid to testify and stuff, and just going off on a tangent like that. And she caught flack from it from other people too. So
Hmm. Hmm. Whereas I would not find the I would not find any sort of evidence proving the existence of interdimensional beings or non-human made infrastructure or whatever it is that they're seeing photos of. I find it odd that they would go on Joe Rogan and just start pouring it out.
yeah, I
As well, just as some sort of conspiracy theory, and the conspiracy theory isn't even like what the actual information is. It's that nobody wants to talk about it.
well, she kind of went off on her own little thing about and I'm not sure why she exactly brought it up, but she started talking about the missing books, like the Book of Enoch. She started bringing those things up, and that they were interdimensional. And yeah, she kind of went out there with the. I think if you want this stuff in Congress, you have to focus as much as it is probably all tied together. You have to focus on the nuts and the bolts, and I think the security to get it pushed forward before you ever start reaching into any of the interdimensional beings and any of those things. Because I think people just take shots at you at that point, especially in Congress.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. If this were I would be surprised if they actually had these hearings. Uh, but we'll see. I've been
Yeah,
surprised before.
I'm hopeful, but I'm just if it's going to be another one of the things where I can't tell you about that, we have to talk about that in a skiff, and it's like, well, why bother even talking about it at this point? Because like you're just telling me you can't tell me.
I'd love to answer your question, Congresswoman, but I'm afraid that's classified. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and plus she got. I think last time she got. I think last time she got into it kind of with or shot a made a shot at Lou also and other people because they kept referring to books and stuff that they had done. But
their
it
own
was
books.
yeah, they were basically saying according to the DOPSR process that they went through to write the books, they couldn't cover topics outside of the range that was covered in the book. And she took that as you're not trying to answer the question, you're trying to sell books, and basically alluded to that. I mean,
I, I can imagine it wouldn't be that far off of an accusation.
no,
um, I mean, because honestly, if they weren't trying to at least bump up their book sales by a little bit, maybe that's not the main reason, but maybe reason 3 or 4 could be. Then they would say when I'm doing my research, or they wouldn't allude to the fact that this is in books
ah,
that people could buy and read. Um, the only thing that's missing is, hey, I can't talk about this beyond the book, which people can pick up at Amazon for 1995. Beyond that, you know, uh, it can't get much more uh,
promoting.
no, not so much promoting, but obvious. There we go. Where's obvious?
Yeah, I was waiting for the whole, and it's available in audiobook format as well.
I'd buy that. Um, something to listen to on line hauls. Um, all right, so excuse me. Uh, yeah, sorry. I'm interdimensional beings. Some congressional Republicans head down weird paths. Well, so I mean,
Like
I didn't read.
of all the shows that she went on, Joe Rogan is probably one of the harder ones to go on to because of the fact that that thing can go on for like 2.5, 3 hours. And then if you're not versed in the subject you're trying to talk about, like, oof, which is how I think she got off into the weeds and some of that stuff.
Well, sure. When you don't answer, you deflect, or when you don't know the answer, you deflect. I mean that's political politics 101. Um, I mean, hell, you have Trump specifically to a bunch of Republicans saying, "Hey, there's everything you don't want the media to cover. You just call Obama, treason, a traitor, and everything goes away." I mean, this it's tough in this day and age because everywhere you go, there's no longer any guardrails in keeping misinformation, uh,
It,
you know, from being distributed as if it's real. Um, and especially with AI now,
oh yeah.
like I would have to hear the testimony of the person who took those photos, like directly, and to be like, this is what we used. This is when it happened, where it happened, what we saw, blah blah blah. Like I would need the full scale testimony of the person who took that direct photo in order to not think that it was in some way AI created. I
No,
mean,
I
that's
can
just
definitely
me.
see that. No,
That
I can
that's
definitely see that.
um you get me that and
Yeah,
we can talk.
it is you definitely have to approach things with a lot more I think nowadays a lot more skepticism because it's just too easy to fake some of that stuff.
Um but you sent me like a direct quote,
Yeah.
and and this is a little, it even goes a little bit beyond that. You said, I think that this is her, this is Anna Paulina Luna uh saying this. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. Very credible people have reported that there have been movements outside of time and space.
Yes. And I well, at least I think what she was referring to is like the Albuquerque. I can't even pronounce it. Basically, there's a drive that's supposed to theoretically exist that can, if we have alien reproduction vehicles that are supposed to be in, and it's supposed to basically make a warp bubble. Basically, is how that thing works. But I don't know about the time thing. That I mean, that seems like a mash together of a bunch of different people who've talked about their hypothesis on what or who the Greys could be or stuff like that.
It honestly sounds, I I hate to use this term because usually it goes for a lot longer, but it just sounds like word salad. Like she's just
Yeah,
throwing a bunch of shit out there
and
to
that may be
to
what she ran into.
I guess we'll find out going into the future. And maybe if we had access to one of those warp bubbles, we could already know what it was.
Yeah, there's some I don't know, it's interesting stuff. Just because the only reason I put that together there is because I knew a little bit about other cases, I guess, but that's going back to like the 40s and 50s and stuff.
Right? No, it's important, and I would like to see where it goes, but I'm not going to be surprised if it goes nowhere. Um,
Yeah,
and
I kind of don't want the whole another however many hours it was of people sitting there saying, "We can't tell you." You're like, "Okay, why bother this then?"
I'm sorry, Congressman, we cannot tell you in open forum. Yeah,
We get
yeah.
into a skiff, which we won't show up to. We can tell you everything.
Closed door session, we're all good. But yeah, um, yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. So you wanted to talk about mirrors,
Yeah, I
and this is one of those topics that Dave and I covered years ago. So if you're a longtime listener, like Anthony was at that point in time, we've already done this topic, but we need to do it again. We need to update it. Lots of stuff has still happened. Um, and yeah, and I mean, and even though I did this a couple years ago, I mean, my knowledge of the paranormal has increased since then. So my views are a little different. Obviously, nobody has heard yours, and so yeah. But mirrors are a strange thing. Uh, Dave and I covered countless stories written in letters and stuff, and people of people wanting to know exactly how dangerous mirrors are and what they can and cannot do, and beyond just show you that yes, your ass does look fat in that dress. Sorry, wanted to throw that in, that little joke punch there. Um, but I mean, obviously, the number one thing that at least people in the paranormal, I mean, you get a normal housewife who has no interest in the paranormal whatsoever. And it's just an internal decorating thing. I mean, they've got no knowledge, no thoughts, no theories, no nothing on anything that a mirror could actually do besides lighten up a room, make it look bigger, the normal interior design stuff that people do when deciding where to place these things. But you get somebody who does know about the paranormal, and all of a sudden they see a face in it when they're checking out their outfit for the day. They like lose their mind and they think that they're now haunted. Um, so in your opinion, just in general, what do you think mirrors can and can't do?
I think it depends a lot on the attention of the person that's well, partially dependent upon the person who's actually what they're doing with the mirror. And then if you of course, you don't know, I guess you could call it rules, where to place them, where to put them, but all that
We'll get
stuff you could
we'll get into
inadvertently
that
do
later.
something that you didn't intend to do.
But is that not, because that is almost something that is almost universal. It doesn't even just stay specific to mirrors. It's intent.
Oh, yeah.
The intent of what you're trying to do. Because a lot of people think that if they just have a mirror hanging up on a wall, that they look like, that they pass or whatever. It's just there for decoration. That spirits can come in and out of it. And it's like, well, no, because you haven't put any intent into that. You can't just hang a mirror on a wall and it's an instant portal. Like you have to do certain things in order
Yes.
to create that effect.
Certain
And
conditions have to be met
met.
in order for it to
Yes.
do those things. Yes.
So I mean, do I hate making this comparison, but it's not far off. It's almost like a Ouija board. Not in the same instance, but that a lot of people use the Ouija board because they're like, Ouija board is just a piece of, just a piece of cardboard and a plastic pamphlet. Well, sure, that's exactly what it is. But when you, as the human, use it as the tool and you put that intent out into the world, you get what it's supposed to represent. The whole
To
letters and
do,
stuff.
yeah.
I think the mirrors are the exact same way. If you just look at a mirror and you use it to fix your hair or whatever, nothing bad is ever going to happen. You start playing Bloody Mary in the
Oh,
damn
yeah.
mirror, every other weekend, something may change because that intent is now being put into the mirror.
I think
Same as a Ouija board.
I was gonna say, I think the Bloody Mary thing is like, and there's probably, there's other instances of that too, but I think the Bloody Mary thing specifically is like knocking on a door. Eventually, someone's gonna answer it.
It won't be, Bloody Mary, but it'll be somebody.
No.
And I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say how it's done, but there are several more quote unquote games that people
Oh,
can
yeah.
play with mirrors. Um, and it's a ritual disguised as a game. And uh, I mean, even I've talked many times before dealing with the case that never gets mentioned, where the dead man's hide and seek. Part of that game involves a mirror. Like, again, put game in quotes because it isn't a game.
No.
It's a ritual. And you, in your opinion, is there some way to? I don't want to. I think I know the answer to this, just in my own opinion. But is there a way to warn people? Is there a way to get these stinking games off the internet or people to realize exactly, the stupidity of which they're about to do.
Unless they say, I mean, you have to want to knowledge. You can show someone it, but if you can't make them drink from the fountain, you have to be open to that. I mean, come on, we had people that we had to tell don't eat Tide Pods.
Yes, we did.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the time when we start watering plants with Gatorade at this point.
or injecting bleach into our veins to
Yes. Like,
to
oh,
get rid of viruses. Yeah, that's next. But you bring up an amazing point though, because the people who are doing these things think of them exactly as they're the person who wrote them out intends as a game, you know, and you have especially the young folk, uh, people who want to who think that it's a fun Saturday night game to scare your girlfriends or whatever, uh, and to look tough, and lo and behold, it does not go your way. And then they're all sitting there going, "What happened? How did this happen? How do we stop it?" I mean, it's like we didn't intend for this thing. Yeah, you did. The thing is that you were arrogant enough to think that it wasn't going to.
yes. And I
And
think that's how a lot of them horror movies and stuff start.
and, and I wonder if, and I'm not going to sit here and blame horror movies for any of this because it's not their fault. It's absolutely none of their faults. But I mean, do you think that in some fashion it is these types of movies that are creating this intrigue that makes people want to go on the internet and start looking for stuff to do in that field?
It probably helps with that interest, but I don't think it is 100% because I mean, look how long that stuff's been around. Bloody Mary's been around for what, the 1800s is
Oh
when.
god, even when I was a kid, that was a thing.
Yeah. I was like, so those, I mean, those stories have always existed. It's the fact that you don't take it as the warning that someone, I mean, most of the fairy tales and stuff like that and the folklore and all that stuff is supposed to be a form of warning, not to, hey, go try this.
Exactly. It's like, in fact, the whole Bloody Mary thing is don't do it.
Yeah.
If you do this, this is what will happen, and you don't want that to happen. And honestly, I don't know the last time I've ever heard of somebody even trying the actual like Bloody Mary thing. It's like we've stepped up our game of being stupid, because
I've,
now it's like, well, if you cut the head off your favorite stuffed animal and you fill it with rice that you peed on, and then you shake it around and you go put it in the woods and you bury it for 24 hours, then you pay, like, there's like, it's like 14 steps to be demonically possessed, and everybody's like, yes, that sounds like hilarious time.
that's
And
kind of like the elevator game thing. That's like, yeah, instead of Bloody Mary, you have now the elevator game. Go find a building and do this thing. And I'm like, what if it did work? Like, holy shit. Like,
but see,
what would
and
you do at that point?
you'd start to cry. I mean, because those who are smart enough not to do it will always be fine because they'll never do it, and they'll be all right with that. It's those that do it and somehow, even if they're tricking themselves, if they're manifesting their own alternate dimension by doing this type of stuff, and because it's very specific.
Yes.
I mean, the elevator game, which we have covered on the show, is not go into an elevator and hit 7 and that's it. Like, there's a whole step, and the whole time you're convincing yourself of what will happen if this is true. What happens if this is true? What happens if every single step of the way you're convincing yourself more and more that this is going to happen.
So how I see that is you're talking about, so there's multiple steps to a ritual that you're performing, all the while you can't help but put your intention of what you're expecting to happen or could happen into this thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
so
and honestly, I think mirrors are the same way.
oh,
And bringing it back to the topic.
yes.
Excuse me. Sorry for not muting on that one. That just kind of snuck up on me. But so uh hold on. There's something. And I know we brought up movies, but here's my other question for you then. Because even though it's not really, or maybe it is, because I stopped watching paranormal television a couple years ago. Like I can't even remember the last time I watched like an investigative type
Show.
paranormal show. I've watched reenactments like a haunting that I've watched. I watched those the day I die. I love them. They're great. Um, but and I think you and I don't know if it was on the show or not, but talked about how like there aren't any shows anymore, really.
Yeah, they've basically gone away from pretty much everything I've seen. I haven't really seen anything. I mean, the most you're gonna get is a Skinwalker Ranch, The Truth Is Out There, or the paranormal whatever send in your video show. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, paranormal caught on camera.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah,
And those
and even that show is
ne
garbage. But
oh, yeah.
no offense to anybody who is asked to be on it, but if you ask them in an honest forum, and I have, most of those videos are garbage, but they're
Oh,
shown
you could
because they're shown because they're interesting.
I was like, if you can't tell that they're trying not to say, "Well, this is bullshit," and I well, that is interesting, and
That that is exactly what Susan Slaughter said to us when she was on the show, and we asked her about that because we asked her about it was the pilot episode of Paranormal Caught on Camera where they showed a video of the circle of lights in Shakopee, Minnesota that was supposed to be UFOs, and any person that lives in Minnesota knows that that's the lights of Mystic Lake Casino shooting them up in a reverse teepee up into the sky, and it's
oh,
right next to Shakopee. It's right down the road from Shakopee, and we brought that up to her. Like we know that this is a fake video. It's not UFOs, and she was freely admitted. She's like, when we see videos like that and they want to present them, you'll notice that we don't talk about the video. We talk about the concept.
yeah.
So it's not the lights in the sky in Shakopee, it's UFO lights in general. And I think I hate that. I get it. They're under contract. They have to do it. I don't fault them at all. I
No.
fault the producers who think
Uh,
that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I will say that I kind of when I looked at a lot of the paranormal shows and stuff like that, I for the most part, I tried to find some redeeming value to the show, regardless of good or bad, or like, I would never do that. That is just stupid. But, on that paranormal caught on camera, and you get to see, like, how people are fake or how some evidence could be faked and brought to and shown out there. So you get to see all that stuff. So if you see it in other places, you can recognize it at least, or at least how I look at it.
Mm, exactly. And to bring it back, why I even brought up the shows in general is that towards the end, with about 5 years ago or whatever, like it was.
And you're cutting out.
I peer.
Uh,
Hey, am I back?
you're yeah, you're back now.
All right. I noticed that I was suddenly left, and I'm like, what happened? But I'm still on my. That's interesting. It didn't shut off on me. Oh, great. I'm sure at some point in time I'm gonna
Disappear.
go away again because for whatever reason, my laptop decided to switch back to the internet that I don't want. Um,
Uh,
but so yeah, I'll enjoy my time here while I'm here. Uh, but for kindred spirits, doing psychomantium, which is or mere scrying, if I said that correctly.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, like they would put a camera on themselves. I think Amy was the one that probably did it the most. Um, from what I used to see, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but uh, that's obviously where you stare at a mirror for a certain amount of time, and for whatever reason, you are supposed to uh, hallucinate. You're supposed to have like visions, and you're supposed to see the dead behind you, and your face gets distorted, and all of these visual effects happen to you.
yeah. That's just because I was curious more about the psychomantium before anyway. So I know like that one is you're looking at a mirror, but the mirror is where you don't see your own reflection. So that one, at least if it's done right, the psychomantium is supposed to be at an angle where you're seeing up. You're not really seeing yourself. So, but your brain, at least the science part of it, which is the same thing with Bloody Mary, if you're staring at that spot for so long and you're in the dark, your brain tries to start adding images to it, which is called the Troxler effect. And they've been able to even duplicate that in laboratories and stuff, where basically you look at this in a dark room with no input, and your brain starts adding things to it,
Hmm.
which is kind of cool. But the the psychomantium is different because whatever it's supposed to be tapping into, that mirror, you're not really you shouldn't see yourself is how that should be set up. It's at an angle where you don't see reflection, you're just seeing into a dark reflection, kinda like uh, the Aztecs used to use obsidian rather than mirrors, and they would just because it was the shiny surface, they would look into that and see all sorts of stuff, although theirs was a little bit, I think, darker 'cause their scrying was revolving around their god of war. So there was
Well,
a
we all
price to
use it for some reason. There was one guy. What was it? Dr. John D. I think,
Yes,
who said that he used this obsidian mirror that the Aztecs and the Incas and stuff would use, or is it the Aztecs or the Mayans?
the Aztecs and the Aztecs are the ones that used the obsidian mirrors, and so when he was doing the Enochian system and stuff like that, and they were getting the messages through those things, he was using the obsidian rather than a standard mirror, and recently, once it, because it's actually in, the museum in London where they have his actual mirror. They did testing on it, and not only is it an obsidian like the Aztec people used, it actually is from the Aztec region and is artifact from that time frame when they were doing those things. So he's using an old artifact to do those things when he did it.
It's almost like using the Frank's box,
Yes.
for the nowadays spirit box. But so, do you think then? Like, I don't understand how they get messages through an obsidian mirror. Like, did they use it like an iPad where it just like an IM, a direct message thing where it just started coming up as this is what this means? Like, how do they get messages through an obsidian mirror or any mirror for that matter?
Well, on the obsidian one, I've seen them. They're polished basically, and so it looks like instead of a silvered mirror where you can see clearly, it's like
It'd be
it's totally
darkened, yeah.
black. Yeah, so
It'd be
it's
like
like
it'd be
looking
like
more like
looking
a
through it would be like looking through a tinted window.
tinted window, or if depending on the lighting, it would look like a reflection in a pond or something like that, which they also used for some of the scryings and stuff like that. So yeah, it gives you a different reflection on that stuff. Automatically cutting to the darkness around you at least.
And I mean, I did it say how he was getting these messages? It's just
Well, it was him and a seer, and they were basically doing, from what I understand, or what I've read about it, was some sort of hermetic scrying, and they were basically trying to communicate to angels, and that's where they got the Enochian magic system from. Was during these sessions that they were scrying with.
Yeah, chances are they were getting like Lucifer's journal. Um, I all right. So basically,
Yeah,
the entire Enochian messages that they got is based on the interpretation of the seer.
correct.
Yeah, it's always an interpretation.
Yep.
Okay.
It. I'm, I mean, it's interesting. It. I will give it that. But like I said, the Aztec god, and I think, yeah, his name translated from the Aztec would be the smoking mirror god. So kind of fits.
Smoky Mirror God. Jeez. I mean, could you get any more like on point? I mean, that I don't know if I can I don't know if I can get behind that. It just sounds like I said too on point. That this god is literally translated to the smoking mirror.
Yeah. Well,
Uh
I mean, I guess maybe they named him because of that, but
well, I I don't particularly need this. Maybe you have it. I doubt it, and that's fine. But I mean, when did we start calling these reflective surfaces mirrors?
I could not find where it actually started. I mean, you go back to the earliest times and it talks about people looking at the reflections in the water and stuff like that. But you go back to Neolithic origins, and that's where you'd be talking like the volcanic glass. So basically, like the obsidian type stuff is what they used, and that goes, I mean, 6,000 BCE. So like,
I get when they were using these as mirrors,
mhm.
but I want to know at some point, and you don't have to know now, when did when did anybody start calling these reflective surfaces mirrors? Because now you have a god who literally is translated to smoky mirror.
Yes.
But if we didn't start calling them mirrors until the 1700s, then chances are it's probably not an accurate interpretation of what the name actually is. So I'm just curious as to when it was actually called a mirror. That name was attributed to a reflective surface.
So from what I see, it was 475 to 221 BCE, and it was, looks like the Chinese called them flourishing bronze mirrors. So it was a polished bronze that you could see a reflection in. And then the first century CE is when the Roman Empire had glass mirrors.
Did they call them glass mirrors?
Uh, yes, they were glass mirrors, but they're also where you get the, if you break the mirror, you have 7 years of bad luck from as well. So
Yeah, so we all know that that's a complete pile of garbage. Um, I mean, because they obviously say that because the mirror is
the reflection of your soul,
the reflect.
at least
Yeah,
that's,
I mean, I was hesitating to say that because it's one of those things. It's like if I say it, then somebody somewhere is going to be like, they're going to lose their mind because their soul's going to get sucked into the mirror, and it's not. Your soul is fine. It is Peter Pan's shadow. It ain't going anywhere. Well, now that sewed to his feet, but um, so, but yeah, I mean that was the whole thing. It was that if you and in the whole thing of the rules of mirrors when you place in your house, like you're supposed to make sure that there's no cracks because that can distort obviously what you see, and you're not supposed to break a mirror because that is like representation of you shattering your soul.
yeah, and it takes 7 years for you. The whole 7 years thing is, it takes 7 years for your to regenerate or recover from that. And then plus there's a bunch of stuff you're supposed to do on top of that.
Yes, yes, it is. We're not going to get into that because it's trash. It's another one of those ritual things where now there's 7 steps.
Oh, it definitely,
You know,
yeah, it definitely turns into that.
the thing about it is, and I think that this is just the complexity of the human nature, is if you get very specific and complex, people are more willing to listen to you for some reason. Um,
I guess I can
because
see that.
because they say like if you're trying to give out um percentages and you say something general like, oh, this is 50% of this or whatever, people would be like, yeah, but if you go like this is 48.2%, then people are like, wow, obviously he had some complex algorithm that came to that specific number, even though it's completely made up regardless. And you'll actually find me do that a lot when I want to tell my jokes about this or whatever. I'll do that. I'll be like, yeah, this just raised me up 5.2%. I'm more cool, you know and it's actually been, I'm surprised I haven't seen more of this, but I actually read articles of like small towns and stuff like that where they'll make their speed limits like 22 miles an hour instead of like the 20, 25, 30 or whatever, but they'll make it some in between number because people will pay more attention to it
Hmm.
because it looks
That's
different than what the average sign that they see.
I could see that. That's like the
It,
whole advertising thing, 9.99 versus 9.98 versus saying it's really $10, which
and that actually that was a great Married with Children bit where Steve Rose wanted to create the 99-cent coin because everything was 1.99 and 5.99, and Al Bundy's like, what about tax? He's like, you sound just like the guys from the he's like, you sound just like the guys from the Treasury Department. But I mean, uh yeah, and that's what I was told, that it looks better if you put that like 1 penny less, 9.99, 10.99 or whatever, instead of just $11. And I don't know, maybe it's just my mind. I always prefer $11, $10. Even no matter
yeah,
what,
round it
if
to make
it's
it
nine ninety
easy.
nine, yeah, if it's 9.99, I'm like, it's $10. Like, let's not haggle here. Um, Same thing with gas.
Oh yeah.
You always see 267 and a little 9. Well, that means it's 268.
Yes.
Let's just be clear here. But anyway, so distortion, mirrors, shattering the soul.
Yes.
I
I
gotta tell
did
you.
think go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead.
I was gonna say I did think when I saw some of this stuff, where it's talked about the death and life, and even talked about, I guess in some traditions you're not supposed to show mirrors to kids until they're a certain age because it might take a part of their soul and all sorts of other stuff. Uh,
I will tell you
Go
this
ahead.
honestly. I will tell you this honestly. The first mirror show that we did, I never read that. That came up nowhere in any
Oh,
research that I did. And then as I was doing research for this episode, all of a sudden that was there. So I honestly think that that's something somebody created in between the two shows to look cool, or to make it look like it was creepier than normal. I also read that new mothers weren't
yes.
supposed to look into a mirror, and I'm like, that's never been a thing before either.
I heard that
I
and I
mean,
was like, okay, that's the theory is interesting. I was like, but I don't really see it.
no, that's because it's bullshit. Like that, it's not a thing. If you're a new mom, you can show your baby to itself. You can look in a mirror. It ain't gonna do anything. Now, unless you take the mirror, you show it to your baby, and your baby's in the mirror, and you're like, "Come, Satan, and take my baby's soul." Then maybe something else will happen. But if all you're trying to do is make it like freak itself out, like as to what it looks like, you're gonna be fine.
And I'm also
It,
thinking there has to be like when they talked about the death, and if you don't cover them, a spirit can get sucked into them or open it up. Like that has to be the reason why there's probably so many haunted mirrors in a hospital or something.
Do hospitals just, well, I guess they have it in the bathrooms, but I mean, beyond like the bathroom mirrors, are there mirrors in hospitals anyways?
I was I was actually, because I'd looked into this stuff, I was going to, next time I was in a hospital, try to be mindful and look to
Look
see
for
where
mirrors,
exactly
yeah.
there were mirrors. Yeah.
I I spend very, 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 very little time in a hospital, and the last time I was in a hospital that I wasn't delivering to, was like 16 years ago. Um, and yeah, so mirrors didn't even, but honestly, I can't remember ever seeing a mirror anywhere other than the bathroom mirror that any bathroom would have
Yeah. And
in
I
a
I'm
in a hot.
I was curious if that was like a something that's been done forever, or if that's, I don't know, something superstitious why there's the lack of, or
I mean, I have heard, obviously, I have heard like if you have like wakes and funerals in somebody's living room, like the death's living room or something like that, that yeah, you want to cover up the mirror so they don't get trapped. Uh, I I have not done enough research to know whether that's even a thing or not, but I know it's been around for a very, very long time. Um, and I know there's obviously a lot of bad stories of heinous crimes being committed where the killer covered up mirrors. You know, the Villisca Axe murder house was one.
oh yeah.
Like the killer covered the mirrors. Um, and I think that they were theorizing that the reason for that was a so none of the souls of the of his victims were going to be caught, and so and also so the killer's like essence or soul could not be caught in a mirror while he was doing these crimes. I I can't remember which is true, to be honest with you. Um, but it, it I want to get into this because we're coming up on the end of the show and I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But you know, one of the things that people are scared of is mirrors causing vortexes in doorways between other dimensions or the spirit realm in their home. I have seen, I see it every time that people bring up mirrors. There, what's it? Unsolved Mysteries. It was Unsolved Mysteries, or it was one of the early recreation shows. But part of the story was that somebody saw a soldier literally walk out of their mirror. Um, and I see the visual in my head any time because it was pretty graphic during the obviously the recreation. But I think Amy Allen on the Dead Files. I think in some of her shows she's talked about mirrors. Um, that there's people like it's a conduit, like it goes both ways. People go in, people come out. Like they just it's Grand Central Station, and that was like one of the issues that people were having was all that energy that was coming and going out of their house. Um, so I want to put this out there because we talked about it on the last time we did this, and that is where to put mirrors
Yes.
in your house. Um, it's also meant for feng shui. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, love saying that word. Um, but obviously, that is the energy of a person's home. And there's some here ones here that I think might be new, or maybe that I didn't see last time, or maybe they updated it. Um, but obviously, you don't want any mirrors facing each other,
Yeah.
and whether on the wall, whether on the floor, doesn't matter. You don't want them facing each other because I mean, who hasn't faced mirrors together and like put their hand in there, and they just have that unending,
All
vortex
effect.
of their hand. Yeah, the Hall effect, in their hand is all that. I mean, I love seeing that. It's amazing, but you don't want to keep it that way. And obviously, because any energy that you put into it, and you do put energy into mirrors, especially over time, um, they reinforce one another, and they constantly build on each other. So if you have any mirror that can see another mirror, you're going to want to move it. I mean, I do agree with that one.
So I
You
wouldn't think
don't
you'd want it.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I wouldn't think you'd want one facing the bed while you sleep either. But
That is another one. You don't want it. You don't either don't want it above your head, or you don't want it facing you while you sleep. Why, I don't really know, because there's a lot of people who have mirrored closet doors
yes,
that face their bed and they don't have any issues sleeping. So maybe it's kind of like an EMF thing where the people have different sensitivity to that sort of thing. Um, like I have no EMF sensitivity pretty much whatsoever. So my phone can sit next to my head and I will be just fine.
fine.
Um, but you have somebody that turns on a fan that's like 5 feet away from them and like they can't sleep for nothing, or they have different type of EMF. But I have done cases where people have had mirrored closet doors directly facing where they sleep. Um, but I've never gotten the gist, or kind of like the claim that the mirrors were the problem. Although
Yeah, the
I think I
Stanley.
have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Stanley actually says that that's one of the, or at least that's what they say. One of the reasons that the ballroom is so active is because of all the mirrors that face each other in there.
I could see that. I mean, if you think about all the balls and all the dances and the people that are in there for decades, I'll bet you there's a lot of energy in those mirrors.
Yep.
Um, and I have recommended just cleaning them, clean the mirrors, um, like top to bottom fully, and to do it regularly. Because I do think that will help. It helps get rid of the energy that's kind of been absorbed in them, and it will stop you from pareidolia, which is obviously where you start
Uh,
seeing figures and shit in the mirror. Um, do not put a mirror in the kitchen ever, like at all. And I get that, and I don't think that has anything to do with the paranormal. I think that's just who wants a mirror like looking at their stove,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know. And the one thing that I read, and this actually is a good point, is why would you want a mirror where you're going to have to clean all the smoke and grease and
yeah.
stuff
So you,
off of it anyways. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen a mirror in a kitchen.
I was trying to think. I don't think I have.
Not a big one. I mean, I think maybe in the 80s, like next to the phone, like you had a pad where you wrote down notes, and like there was a little like 6-inch mirror above it, to make it look nice, or decorative. I think I've seen that, and that's about it. Um, Obviously, you don't want mirrors facing clutter in chaos, because they say like that's the energy that starts to get absorbed, and then obviously uh, gets more saturated, I
Multiplies.
guess. Yeah, multiplies. Um, Exponential. There we go. An exponential, you know, uh, energy level. with the chaos and stuff. And I have heard that like from seeing, not so much with mirrors, but just like the chaos and the clutter and stuff, that it creates this sort of energy in your house that you want to get rid of if you're experiencing any sort of paranormal activity. This was a new one for me. Never heard of it before. Is you don't want a mirror directly across from the front door, because apparently the positive energy will get reflected out the door. So now we have dad screaming about closing the door so the heat doesn't get out, or the AC doesn't. You got the AC on, and now we got a mirror across from the front door. We need that positive energy. Shut the damn door.
See, now I would have thought the front door would be a more popular place for mirrors, especially like when they start talking about how it shows someone true nature and stuff. The whole you can't see the vampire's reflection and stuff like that. I would think you would want the mirror by the door. Be like,
So here, I think is the distinction between the two is it doesn't say you can't have one in your front lobby or by the front door. It doesn't want it directly opposite from the front
the
door.
door. Okay.
So I mean, I shit. I have well, I guess I don't, because in mine you have to come through the front door, and then I have a staircase leading directly up, and then if you go to the right, it's a staircase down, and at the bottom of the staircase going down, I have a mirror there. And that mirror is older than I am. Belonged to my grandparents before I was born. But I have it now, and it's hanging on my wall. It's dirty. Well, it's not dirty, but it's smudged because it's old. But
It's
I've
the
never seen a
silver
face
one.
in it. Yeah, it is a silver one. Yeah, absolutely it is. And it's big. I mean, it's probably 3 feet across. But I've never seen a face in it. I've never walked down the stairs or whatever, and all of a sudden there's somebody walking behind me. I've never had an experience with that mirror. So, but I've never put the intent into it either. Excuse me. So yeah, just some tips. Obviously you can cover the mirror. You can add protective elements, placing an iron nail on the top or frame of the mirror. That's new.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously iron is considered like to be the ghost weapon or whatever against spirits. Cleanse your mirrors regularly
Yeah.
with blessed or salted water. I don't know if reverends, if you'd be like, excuse me, sir, can you bless this water for me? Oh, sweet, you're gonna bless your home. No, I'm gonna clean my mirrors. Like I don't know how you would respond to that. And then obviously adding whatever spiritual symbol you want. I mean, people do that anyways. But here's what is written: if it aligns with your beliefs, consider placing a crucifix, Buddha, or a holy book near the mirror. You can also dab the mirror with holy water and make the sign of the cross over it. Honestly, half of these I think are meant to get rid of what we've been talking about, which is intent. Like,
Yeah, something
it,
to break the
I think it's the placebo effect. Like, if somebody feels more comfortable and less, less anxiety, less tension because they think their mirror is haunted, if you give them what works, quote unquote, to get rid of any of that stuff, then they don't think about it as much. They don't reinforce it. They no longer have that intent. I mean, and it happens all the time. All the time. As soon as people understand what is going on and that it won't hurt them, they stop worrying about it.
belief is a
And
powerful thing.
it is. Belief, intent, And throughout this entire show, we've talked about manifesting
Mhm.
and how you convince yourself of this or that. I mean, and that's the whole, psychomantium delusions, hallucinations and shit that everybody sees is what you convince yourself that you're going to see.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I bet if you stuck a complete skeptic, maybe even a cynic, if you stuck a cynic in a room with a dark mirror tilted up or whatever, I bet he wouldn't see a damn thing.
That would be
He
interesting. I
he
would
he, he would see the ceiling.
well, that goes into the at least the science for me, this I would be curious about the scientific aspect of it where it's supposed to make your brain start hallucinating those things. So I would be curious, but there would
There
be a
there
reason.
yeah, there even though this hasn't to do with mirrors, I think it's the same exact type of phenomenon. Is there's a room, I honestly I would do this in a heartbeat. But there's a room here in Minnesota. I think it's at the University of Minnesota where it is completely set up to be 100% soundproof. You can't hear anything in this room. Nothing. And from what I've read, no one has been able to spend more than 45 minutes in this room without starting to just lose their shit.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
because
honestly, I would love to try that.
I would definitely do that. I would try that room because I've heard about it before, and yeah, I've they say you start hearing things and seeing things, and basically your brain just freaks out at some point.
And I could see it. I mean, I've been in rooms that are so silent I could hear my heart beating. I mean, I've done that. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say they had one guy who talked about that room that I heard that he said at one point he could hear his heartbeat. He could hear the blood pumping in his body.
yeah, yeah, and I've actually looked into um, the um, sensory deprivation tanks and stuff. There's a couple here in the Twin Cities. Obviously, you need to build up the account, but the bank account before I even try that. But that is something that I want to do too. I want to see what happens when you take away pretty much every sense that you have.
So now I'm
For an
curious,
hour.
did you ever see Altered States?
No.
That's a it's a that one's a trippy one, but it's Jeff Bridges and he goes into a deprivation tank and basically opens up another universe or something and comes out different. But that was where I first heard about deprivation tanks back in I don't know when that movie was made, but probably the 80s.
Yeah, that those are two things that I would like to do at some point in time, just to see what happens. Because I like to consider myself open minded, but still like logical. Like, okay, I'm in a
Oh,
room that I can't hear. That's not a big deal. I'll just sit here for a while and think. And would hearing your own thoughts get rid of that? Get rid of that issue? I don't know. I'd love to find out. But anyway, mirrors, you're fine. um, Anyway, we didn't get to probably half the shit that you probably wanted to.
no,
Um,
it's okay.
but what is your take from everything that you've looked up so far? Like, what is your kind of conclusion when it comes to mirrors?
It's interesting the transition that they've made as far as our history and culture and stuff, because when they first started, it was a thing of wonder, being able to see your image in, as a reflection, and then it went to kind of spiritual or sacred, with it's a piece of your soul, to now, well, you have the scrying and stuff like that, which goes to a whole bunch of different levels. And then you have people with the whole Bloody Mary thing and stuff like that. So, I mean, it really comes down to what you're trying to do with it. There are a few things that you could do by accident, but really I don't know, it doesn't really, unless you're trying to do something with it and play with it, I don't think it does a whole lot other than let you look at it.
Yeah, I agree. Um, the only thing that I will add to that is, just be aware of what is going on in your life around them. Like they do absorb your energy and the energy
Yeah.
of your home. But if you have a bad day, you didn't suddenly turn your mirror into, the seventh level of hell.
No,
That this is a long, long process. And if you just use your mirror for what it's supposed to be, which is just look at yourself and fix your hair, shave in it so you don't cut yourself. I mean, if you just do that, you're never going to have anything to worry about. You start
no.
effing with shit that you don't understand, like a Ouija board. You start playing these games that people can no longer find online. There's nothing online about them. Don't look. Um, then you're gonna change it because that is your intent. Keep your intent to where it should be. Have positive energy in your home. Sage, whatever. Clean them. If you want to use holy water, use holy water. You want to use Windex, use Windex. Just clean it, and you're never going to have an issue. And if you do, there's a paranormal team by you if you need some sort of assistance. Just just saying, there's always help. Um, but keep your damn minds like out of the veil. I guess if
Pretty
that
much.
counts. If that counts, like that might be the new saying. Like instead of get your mind out of the gutter, like get your mind out of the veil. Like just
Well,
come
when
back to this. Just come back to this side.
yeah, stop putting intention into thinning it.
Yes, yes, indeed. Because even though I'm sure you're trying to see Grandpa again, you probably are not going to see Grandpa again. Um, so there you go. All right, I don't got nothing more to add. How about you?
No, I'm good.
Sweet. All right. Well, that takes care of this episode. Anthony and I will be back next week. Hopefully, uh, I will not have to take NyQuil before this, but we shall see what goes on. But until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.